All right, everybody, welcome back. Happy post-Easter. I don't know if it's post-Passover, but I'm assuming it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, it was a great weekend in Montreal, I guess, or Laval, which is just outside of Montreal. That I wanted to share a little bit about, a little bit of insights about, and really look at where we're going from here. So I kind of look at the first quarter's come and gone, and now we're into the second quarter. So it's important that we establish some of the same business functions that we do when we have a business, like setting a goal for the next quarter. Let me just give you some perspective. Anyway, so Montreal came in Friday, had dinner with Leo and his team. Luis Casua was there, of course. And it was just a small group, but a very intimate, nice setting. Leo and his team did an absolute bang-up job. If you've seen the pictures, you'll see there was a lot of quality and detail that went into this event. There were two rooms. One was a breakout room from the morning session, the afternoon session, that is. There was a breakout room that was product centric and where there were cocktails. So it was a cocktail meet and greet, and then they had product on display, which is really great. That was the interim between turning the room over from the business session to the evening gala session, which was a celebration of success. And of course, the main event was to celebrate Leo's success with the presentation of the Consultant of the Year, which was a very, very emotional moment for everyone there. I don't think there was a dry eye in the room, starting with Leo. And it was really nice to see. Actually, it started with Luis, and then it went to me, and then I think it went to Leo when he was finally given the award. So it was a great moment. We just had a post meeting with the team, and came up with a whole list of things that they had learned. But I asked the question, the most important question. Let me just give you a recap of what they got. What they got from this event was to have a goal and to persevere, to make a committed decision, to attend, to be a part of it. What they gained was another way to transmit the Nikken concept, because you can only get that from the moment, from the feeling of what goes in there. They learned that in person, to form relationships versus maintaining a relationship through communications like social media or text and whatnot, but the in-person connection is the place to forge the relationship. They got a great sense of pride and association, to associate and participate with great people. There was a sense of unity, synergy, an overflowing of love. One of the people had a guest there. They said that the person just had tears in their eyes. They said they could feel the love, and that they wanted to be part of the next event. The abundance and the limitlessness of what was expressed, it was very pure, very heart connected. The fact that they were able to have a heart connection with the leaders, that was huge. Some of them got to know us for the first time just because they were in a space where it was safe to be, and to enough time to actually get a sense of who we are. And they certainly got a level of importance of the event to keep excited about Nikken. So these are just some of the highlights that the leaders were saying who were at the event. But when we were done talking, I asked them the most important question. If you had the last 3 months to do over again, leading up to this special event, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently? And so that came back with a whole bunch of responses, but what would you think is the one that people pronounce most? What do you think? Anyone?
Invited more people.
Yeah, definitely. And more people with a focus on the 5 pillars and the why. It's astounding. There was something that we did that I think is so noteworthy. Maybe Leo, if we can get whoever created the pages, the printed pages, I might even have them. They're probably on the Quebec chat. those two documents that were printed, I want to share with the group here so that they could see what was handed out. One of them was a page that had the 5 pillars on it, and they had to identify on a scale of 1 to 10 where they were at in each pillar, and then they had to check mark the 2 that was of most interest to them, that they wanted to most change. And when I came up on that slide in the PowerPoint, which is I think the second or third slide in, I asked the question of the audience. I said, I stopped the presentation. I said, I know you've all been handed the one that Leo's holding in his hand right now. I know you've all been handed these documents. I want you to focus on the smaller one that has just the 5 pillars on it, and answer the question. And I paused, gave people a chance to do it, and then I said, okay, what I'd like to do is I'd like to ask you to shout out. Or actually, no, I wrote down body, mind, family, society, finances. I wrote those words on the whiteboard, on the flip chart. And I said, if you had body as one of your top 2, would you raise your hand? And I counted the number of hands. Boom, had the count, was 19. Then I said, if you had mind as one of your top 2, raise your hand. And that was a small number. There was like 4. I said, if you had family as one of the top 2, raise your hand. And that was another number, I don't know, maybe 9. And then if you had society as one of your top 2, raise your hand. And I don't remember if it was just a couple, 2 maybe, that rose their hand. If you had finances that was one of the top 2, raise your hand. And I counted, it was 20. So 20 was the number 1, and 19, which was body, was number 2. Surprised? That finances and body were the top 2 in the audience, of the whole audience. Now, that little demonstration, that little exercise is such an amazing tee up for this PowerPoint, for this presentation, because then I could announce, then it will be of no surprise to you that the remainder of this presentation is going to focus on these 2 areas, since they seem to be the areas that most people are concerned with. Do you know anybody who might have these concerns? Any members of your family, any members of, friends, society, workmates who may have concerns in these areas? And of course, now they're all getting it, like, yeah, that's a real concern. People would. So now we're going to talk solutions. And then the PowerPoint carries on and introduces Niken, and the video played beautifully and does a nice job of introducing Niken. And then we went into the body side of this, which is the idea of what is it? The 5 vital elements, and Niken's solution to wellness through active wellness. And then the second part, after then Leo did his presentation of the demonstrations. And instead of doing the testimonials that we traditionally do, we'd invite people to do testimonials in the slide that says facts tell, our stories sell. Instead of doing that, Leo did his own testimonial, which included all of the 5 pillars, his whole experience of Niken and so forth. And he then also had spoken with Jeff Isom, who had prepared a French-speaking introduction to the 5 pillars of health and HBM. So we played that, and then we carried on the meeting, which went into part 2. Part 2 is the business opportunity, and then we get into the financial pillar. So it was just a really nice presentation. It was my first go at it live in front of an audience. It went seamless. I loved it. So I'm not making any changes to it as of yet. If you haven't yet tried it, try it on yourself, try it on a family member. Just go through the PowerPoint or the PDF one slide at a time, and what would be your talking points about that? Anyway, I know you guys are waiting for me to do a live of it so that you'll see what my talking points of it are. And of course, those talking points are a little bit different when you have a live audience. You really interface and interact with that live audience. So anyway, we'll do that. I'll set that up to get that done. Leah, I don't know if that was recorded. Was that presentation recorded by any chance, that part of it?
Yes.
It was, Francine?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Well, if there's a good copy of just of that presentation sooner than later, that'd be great to get, that we can share with the group. So Then we had our evening session, a lot of recognition there. In fact, it was all recognition. And then myself and Luis had a message for the group, which was really great. And by the way, if you get a chance to get Luis to present the presentation that he did, it was perfect. It was really, really, really good. He went right after me. Actually, I skipped a part. When I finished the business presentation, he came up and spoke. And the presentation that he delivered was really excellent. I think I'm going to steal some of those slides. And he talked about, so for instance, one of the slides that came up was a picture of the Earth and the magnetic field of the Earth. It's like nature. You know, we live in nature. The Earth has a magnetic field. That's nature. So it's no surprise that we would have magnetic technology, since we have deprived ourselves of this contact with nature when we live inside of buildings and we're surrounded by electrosmog and so on and so forth. So the presentation was really visually accurate, interesting, and really fortified the message of what the Nikken Wellness Home is all about, and the Nikken technologies, the biomimicry, science replicating nature. Anyway, so 2 thumbs, great event. When are you having yours? So that's my question. When are you going to do your event? Because if you don't do it, who is going to do it for you? Mr. and Mrs. CEO of your own Nikken business. Just want you to consider it's time to get back out in the game. It's time to start putting events together. They are fun, they are meaningful, and they have way more impact than anything online. Yes, Sherry.
I wish that I was on late because I was with my team. We were talking about incentives and goals for coming up, and I don't see that they've made it. We had a week ago today at Shirley Artist, who went silver and is going gold. Her gold date is in May. And Debbie's going for platinum also. Debbie went gold in December. Shirley went silver in December. So they're both moving up in May. But we were talking about it. We had like a whatever you call it, a rehash the next day to talk about, what we could do better. There was some disorganization because we had so many people. Now, it wasn't a fancy hotel. It was Shirley's basement, and she has steep stairs. And so there were a few people that we knew couldn't make it down the stairs. The next time we do it, we'll just know that we have to do it. It was a smart thing. Debbie had the idea. We did my laptop, and we did it over Zoom so they could see the presentation. They could hear it. Some people couldn't see it, but there were over 30 people that came. I'm not really sure. There were I think 8 people upstairs. I never went upstairs. And there were easily, more than 20 people in the basement. So it was fun. It was a little disorganized and I'm a little rusty, I have to say. It was a little because people were coming in and we were having to find seats and all of that. It's a good problem to have, though. So, we have all sorts of ideas now of how to make it go smoother for the next one. This is in St. Louis, so I'll be back in the end of August to do a big one.
Excellent.
And they just promoted it. They said their manager was coming into town. So
good.
Yeah,
very good. I mean, 30 people in attendance. It's huge. That's great.
She invited us to come in to part of it. And so it was interesting watching you, Sherry, because they were so wound up, they were wound up, they were talking, and it just was all the memories of those kind of in-homes, which is where once they wanted to tell their story, they were so excited about the story, and some of the people left because they had been there for so long. So that'll be leading up to then the other event. But
yeah. What you got was because we finished, and then it was jumping into the wellness stories that I share, and that was that, and then it was the kickoff call. So it was a big night.
Excellent. I really think it's important that we go and start experiencing this kinetic energy. I mean, kinesthetic energy and kinetic energy. The idea of being live and in person, just simply nothing. you know, I like eating great food, and I like Uber Eats and its convenience, and I'm surrounded by great restaurants and I can get their food through Uber Eats at my place, but it is not the same as sitting in a restaurant and feeling the feeling of being in that restaurant and participating with other people and hearing the buzz and the interaction with the staff and whatnot. There's just nothing like it, right? So we have hunkered down and sheltered, and given ourselves permission to operate this way because it's more efficient, it's more this, it's more that. But you know what? It's not more fun, it's less fun. It's not more dynamic, it's less dynamic. And it doesn't produce as great an experience for anybody. So if we really want to up our game, this has to become part of the way we do things. So like most businesses start in somebody's living room, most of all my silver runs have started in a living room. In fact, probably every one of my silver runs, whoever I was helping to go silver, started in somebody's living room. So I strongly advise to go back to that format, and start asking who wants to do one. So you can start picking partners to do one with and get them involved. I'll tell you, I saw Leo put together a team of people who really rose to the challenge. Some of them are on this call, and they all contributed, and it was a beautiful event. It was just really the reminder of, wow, when a good event is a good event, you can feel it, people feel it. The energy was high, the buzz was there, and you could see it in the post meeting as well. There were people in that post meeting that weren't there before. So it's really the way to go. Barbara. You're on mute.
Yes, sorry, thanks. I do want to hear from people that, helped host it and be a part of it. What I was thinking is, in brainstorming and getting people out there, if there are some satellite areas that the possibility of buddying up, like a product launch or something, might be really good, so that we do have videos that bring credibility into your home for NECAN, which can work. But you could also buddy up with someone, say, we'll do Tuesday night at my house, Thursday night at your house, and then Zoom each other into each other's meeting and do the welcome and that like an ABC from afar. And I think that would help bring smaller gatherings credibility. I'm not sure. I just thought I'd pose that, Michael, for ones that as we're starting back up, we may not get 30 people, or, we might get 4 or 2, whatever, and then work from there. But I just thought that would be something to hear, like a product launch, right? Where you're got the TV and you're zooming in and you're live. I have done it prior to, I call it hibernation, prior to COVID. I would come in and I'd be on a iPad and I'm watching them do the strength test and that, because I want to get familiar with the people in the room and get introduced. But then I brought credibility to the meeting, even though it wasn't.
Yeah, you're the voice of God, what I call voice of God in the meeting. We used to do that speakerphone. So you'd come in on a speakerphone and you'd be the voice of God. Hey, Barbara, so we've got some questions. How is this different than Amway? That was the first question that Marty Jeffrey threw at me when I was voice of God in his in-home. So it's fun. It's great. Yes, guys, start thinking outside the box or back in the box, whatever you want to call it, of live events. Live events are dynamic. It involves people. It gets people more involved. They can't hide. Look, we got all these people on this call and nobody's they're not on the cameras. You can't not be on a camera when you're live. So there's a very different dynamic that happens in a live meeting, and you need to see how your group is going to grow by doing those things. I have a story I want to share, Paul. And we do have some people I want to hear from. So, Paul, go ahead.
We have Humans Being More in Kelowna on June 10th and 11th, and I invite everybody to it. And I just finished Carly Simon's biography. she deals with people where money is not the issue. Fame is not the issue. The big issue for them is still mind and happiness and how to find it. And I think humans being more is just a wonderful vehicle to help people find happiness, because apparently fame and money doesn't do it. People take pills, they take drugs, all kinds of sex, and they're still not happy. So we need, that's really, I think we have a possible solution for people to be happy.
Yep, we sure do. Hang on before you keep putting your hands up. I want to hear from some of the people who were at the event. So Mark Ranger, Sandra LeBlanc, Diane Lantier, who else is on this? Romuald. You guys want to jump in here and just give us your 2 cents of the event, Marie-France? Joe, go ahead. Just unmute and start. Yeah, go ahead. We can't hear anybody. Jump in.
Who are you talking to, Mike?
Anybody that I named.
All right. So I'll go first then. Well, it was 4 days of, it was 3 days of amazing, just amazing nuggets. The human connection with Mike and Louis brought tears to my eyes more than once. Just their presence, being open to hearing what we had to say and truly caring about us was it was just like overload of love. I cannot explain. I'm sorry, I'm French and I'm like looking for my words tonight, but it was very moving. And the connection between the people, people being at the event, being at the convention for the first time, and hugging each other, saying, wow, this is incredible. They could feel the love. I mean, one girl was her first time ever seeing the business, and she had tears in her eyes, and she hugged me and she said, I want to be part of the planning next time and decorating and all this. It was very life-changing, that whole weekend. And then, supper with you and Louis on Friday, the whole event on Saturday, brunch on Easter Sunday with Louis, and then tonight with you. I'm just, yeah, I'm just really, really happy.
Resurrection time.
Yes,
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I needed that so bad. And Mike being here with us just made the whole difference in the world.
Well, thank you. I really think that people need to connect to the feeling, and it's going to inspire them to do things that maybe they were a little bit too shy to do or a little bit too uncomfortable to do, because now they have a more solid connection with the real purpose and the meaning behind Nikken. That is, you can't really replicate that any other way. I don't know how. I built my business on events, and they grew in size and in number. So, that's how we're going to move mountains. That's how we're going to make this thing a thing. And so we need to all put our 2 cents worth. Don't be a spectator. Don't be a fly on the wall. You don't have that right. If you've been given this gift and you just sit on it, shame on you. That is not okay. So go out of your way, get out of your way, and start sharing this information with people. You're not that big a deal. If you keep standing in the way of other people learning about this, your ego needs to be squashed a little bit. So get out of the way, get out of your way, and let people hear this story, learn about Nikken, and meet other people. By the way, the best thing you could do in any event or in any situation when you have somebody who's interested is introduce them to somebody else. The more people they connect with, the more they feel the stories and the excitement about Nikken from different points of view, which is why it's such an important thing to do at a live event, is to meet people. That's going to change the game. That little mixture that we had in the break, perfect. That was brilliant. That was that was an opportunity for people to interface, interact, so that it wasn't an us and them, a stage and an audience. It was everybody gathering and mingling. So those are the important moments. So the more you can make that happen with people, even if it's just an ABC on the phone, that's important. Who else did we have there? Sandra was there, LeBlanc. We had Solange was there. Diane. Anybody here want to jump in and say another? Mark, you get your hand up. Go ahead, Mark.
Yeah, I can go. All right. So yeah, amazing weekend. I have the chance to be there all at the 3 events. Friday lunch, VIP lunch, dinner, VIP dinner, the event of Saturday, and the brunch on Sunday. And yeah, like Mike said, we have a nice gift and we cannot keep it for us. We have to give it to the people.
Yeah.
And I talked with Mike Friday, and I have a big wall barrier to people when they tell me no, that I don't want to do nothing with that or something like that. But this is my past, so I have to work on my past to resolve some past issue. It's the way I can tell it. But yeah, the weekend was amazing. Sunday morning when Louis explained us, we have a special meeting in French last week, or I don't know, with Louis, and he said the 3 things you have to know. You don't understand the business, and he said this 3 times. You don't understand the business, and don't understand the business. So for me, Sunday morning, I understand the business when he explained that all the job that Nick can do for the pay and inventory and all those stuff, we don't have nothing to do about that. So it's so easy. I think we just have to promote the company and then the nice product that we have. So yeah, the weekend helped me a lot.
You know what? Think about it, guys. You're hearing from somebody who's been, how long you been with Nikken, Mark?
May in 2022.
Okay,
One
so
year.
almost a year. And what difference can an event make? This may have just turned this engine on. You know, Diamond Mark, here we go. Because he's finally got the simplest idea, which was so simple, some people can't understand. It's too simple. He finally gets it. Yeah, actually, I don't have to do the hard stuff. Nikken does that. I have an easy job. Tell people. Promote it. That's it. That's my job. Promote. Great. Thanks, Mark.
Thank you, Mike.
Who else? Do we have somebody else from the event? Wants to speak? Diane? Francine, any of you?
I think Romuald wants to speak and I'm
Where-
going to translate as best as
Okay,
I
perfect. Romuald.
Romuald, oui, je vais traduire pour toi.
OK, parfait. Ben, c'est ce que j'ai écrit en fait dans le message parce que je suis un peu fatigué, j'ai de la misère à parler en anglais.
Il n'y a pas de
Attendez.
trouble.
OK.
Pas de mon mieux.
So, ben, je voudrais dire merci tout d'abord à Léo d'avoir organisé l'événement.
I first want to thank Leo for organizing the event.
Donc, ce que je voudrais dire, c'est que j'ai été emballé par la rencontre de samedi.
I was overexcited about the meeting on Saturday.
Et puis, je trouve que c'est important ces rencontres-là parce que ça donne un second souffle puis beaucoup de motivation.
It's important because it gives a second breath and motivation.
Puis finalement, ben, j'ai été agréablement surpris de l'accessibilité de Louis en tant que CEO?
I was overjoyed by the availability and accessibility of Louis.
Puis j'ai trouvé ça très touchant aussi de voir les trois hommes très émus, les trois ensemble en avant lors de la remise de prix à Léo. Donc Léo, Mike et Louis, les larmes aux yeux, ça démontre beaucoup d'humain dans ces hommes-là. Puis je pense que ça démontre que tout le monde peut y arriver là, aussi.
I was overjoyed to see the three men main speakers, Mike, Leo, and Louis, show their vulnerable side and tears to show us the human side, that it's okay to be human, and it gives hope.
Mm-hmm. Puis j'ai été très, très fier de voir ma blonde Angelica en avant faire la traduction, mais aussi encore une fois se dépasser, se surpasser. Puis j'ai l'intention de l'appuyer très longtemps dans cette aventure-là.
I was also very proud to see my girlfriend up there, Angelica, do the translation and surpass herself. So I will make sure to tell her that.
de continuer de l'appuyer
Oh,
dans cette aventure.
Yes, to continue. I will continue to support my girlfriend, Angelica, in this adventure.
All right, awesome. Merci, Romuald.
Thank you, Mike.
Francine. Thanks, Marie-France, for the translation.
You're welcome.
Hi. Well, this event, this definitely allowed me to push myself more. I just arrived mid-February in Niken's family, and I was very happy to discover who's there behind the scene. Leo, Louis, and Mike, and it really pushed me. And Sandra, who's my my direct upline, has been very, very supportive. She created really nice things. We did the questionnaire together, and the help that Mike provided to guide us in everything that needed to be done, you know, and looking for that perfection, because the people and the public deserve the best of us, and that's what we want to show. I've learned a lot. Learn in the preparations, learning about the value, everything. It has no price. The experience was total, and definitely for me, I loved it. Niken, I fell in love with it the minute I saw it. Now it's just connection is there and much better. So yes, I will be pleased to carry on. Donc, je vais être très contente de poursuivre ma mission avec Niken, ça c'est certain. Merci.
Merci, Francine. Thank you. Cool. Yeah. And she had some special guests there herself, I believe. Was it your son or your daughter? Or was
I have very special guests of many, many ways. They were really good friends. I had Pauline, who's a writer and author who sent about 600 invitations by email. She did her best, but the storm and everything else, whatever, the one-on-one is the best.
Oh, speaking of which, thanks for pointing that out. We didn't know this. I didn't know this. Luis didn't know this, but we arrived 2 days after a massive ice storm hit Montreal, and 1 million people were without power, and Leo was still without power. So we were going into a hellstorm. And so there was a lot of people that were obviously affected and were not able to make it the event. But nonetheless, it was a great event. Sorry, go on.
Exactly. So we did it, and we made it. So that's great. And other people that were there, yes, my son was present and his girlfriend. And my son is a technicien de scène, technicien de son. and he accepted to record the event. So I have it all, and it's gonna be working out and coming to you. We'll get that. And he was really inspired. And this has no price. His girlfriend just loudly participated in helping the team in setting up the room and putting the flowers and everything else together. So, and she said that she never met people that were so kind, so human. So obviously we walking the talk. What Nikan is saying is something that we can live. And I can see it through the people that they really do live it. So this is pretty unique. I've done other network, believe me, I've done. And this is there, and I can feel it. So that is precious.
Wow. Awesome. Boy, you can't put a price tag on that for real. So yeah, the feeling is what we create, and that's why we have to spend more time with one another and have more opportunities for people to gather around us, because we mean what we say and we say what we mean. Leo.
The power's back. I'm okay.
He had to plug into the wall to keep his phone charged, because when he went home, there was no power.
You can imagine the stress I had last Wednesday with the storm. No power. So the same city or where I live in Laval, no power many place except to my hotel, your hotel where you live, the Congress Center Palace, it's okay. And the two restaurants, it's okay. My thank you. Everything my place, no, but it's okay for the hotel. So I'm very appreciate my weekend. Of course, it's a lot of job, but I like do the job because the result is coming, and my weekend is begin. Imagine I have a opportunity to have a lunch with Louis, just me and him, 1-to-1. I practice my English for 3 hours, believe me. And he invited me. I don't go to the McDonald's. I go to the nice restaurant, and he paid. That's okay. We have a nice 3 hours because I know I see Louis to Italy in Toronto, but for the first time, just 2 hours, just me and him. Very nice conversation, very, very nice. And after I have a VIP dinner with Mike, Louis, and 2 guests. I have 1 guest, and I sit with the other guest from Mario and one and my consultant. And he very liked, wow, what's that? He just come through the VIP. And the big day is a Saturday, of course. So I was nervous, but I think it's a very great success. I might over 50 people on there. The lunch, everything is all right, and very emotional in the end because with Louis start to have a cry, you and me. Imagine.
Now, I was just gonna say, show me the award. Wait. I gotta pin you so we can see the award. Where's the award? Where's the award? This
Your
thing weighs a
trophy.
ton.
It's so
That
beautiful.
thing is lead. It's so heavy.
Yeah, it's heavy. I believe me.
Turn a little bit so we can see a different angle.
It's crystal, isn't it?
Yeah.
You
That's
like
why.
star? You see a
Yeah.
star?
Yeah. What does it say on it?
Okay. Nikan, Consultant of the Year 2022, Nikan North America, Leo Lemay. It's me. In recognition of your outstanding performance in 2022. And I received this for the Japan. And the other one for the, okay, I feel very emotional on that, but my gift on the meeting, I have a chance to recognize my star, because the name of my event is Gala of des Étoiles in French and Gala of Star, because the night I invite all my silver on the road to share the story why you do Nikan. And I have one on my team, Kim. She's about 12 years. She's Nikan with me. She's a royal executive. She's a royal executive. She never moved there. And she's come with new boyfriend. And when she saw the testimonial on the night, all the weekend, but one about Marie-Christine, my new silver with the new compensation plan, my new silver, Marie-Christine, because she knew her 2018, since 2018. And she texts me on the night, can you see you a Zoom call Monday morning? I want to be silver. And that's what I do this morning. Mario he said me the same thing, you know, and yes too. The three of my front line said I want to be silver. That's why the event is, you know, that I have make a lot of work, but I'm not alone. I have a marvelous team. Marie-France, Agnès, a lot of team, Sandra, but it's very important for me that. And the next one is the 6th May, HBM. I'm on the way for another success. And tonight we talked with Mike for come back for 8th July maybe or something in July. Do event, guys, do events, very important. Thank you.
Thank you, Leo. Awesome. Barb.
I just want to say something for the benefit of our American attendees tonight. I have to give Leo a phenomenal amount of credit to you and your team for the event that you put on, because those in the US, I don't know if you heard about the storm that hit Canada, but there were over 1 million people without power. And some of them still have not been restored. They hope to have everybody back with power by tomorrow. So they've been working round the clock. Unfortunately, some people, because they were so cold, they had taken units into their houses that they shouldn't have. So they had a huge number of people with carbon monoxide poisoning. So it was a huge, huge storm. So all the more accolades to you, Leo, for accomplishing what you did under extremely abnormal circumstances. Well done.
Thanks, Barb. Well, let me tell you a little story. You know, what you put out, you get back. And this is a law. So I had my nephew here last night or yesterday afternoon for Easter dinner. And when he walked in the door, he had this big box. And in this box was all these chocolate bars. And he was supposed to sell chocolate bars to raise funds for his school, you know, the kids' drives. Anyway, so he comes in here with this box. And we're trying to get things ready to get food on the table and whatnot. And he wants to start selling his chocolates. I said, put that away. We'll talk later. So when we finished lunch, I said, okay, how many chocolates you got in there? We figured it out. I said, okay, I'm going to buy them all on one condition. You have to make me a promise that when I give you the money, you're going to go put your coat on. You're going to go outside and you're going to start going down the street and just give them away to my neighbors for free. I just want you to give them for free. You're not allowed to take any money. You're not allowed to sell them. Just give them away. My reasoning was I wanted him to experience a feeling, the feeling of what it feels like to be able to have the freedom to be able to share, to feel abundance, to feel that joy of just being able to give without the expectation to receive. One of the most important things anybody could ever learn. And of course, I wasn't expecting what happened to happen exactly, but it was even more profound than what I what I expected. So when we all gathered up because we were going to go for a walk after lunch. And so he was out there across the street at my first neighbor, 2 doors down. And we're out on the street. And I'm thinking, wait, this is taking too long. Why is he still there? And I see him talking with her, and I'm like, this is taking too long. So I yell and say, look, you can't give him any money. He's not allowed to take any money. And what do I hear from my neighbor? Shut up, with a chuckle. He ended up getting $20 for a $3 chocolate bar. So I can't even argue with my neighbors. Anyway, so off we go. By the time he finished giving away his chocolate, he had collected more money, doubled the money that he would have received had he sold the chocolates. And I kept insisting, you're not allowed to take the money. He says, they won't let me leave. They keep holding me and saying, here, you got to take this. Anyway, it was so cute, but it was perfect, because what he learned in that experience was that if you were to give freely of your heart, give of yourself, that there's more than enough that will come back. Some people just were happy to take the chocolate bar, but some, they had to do more than that. And so it was a great lesson for him. And I asked him at the end, how do you feel? He felt wonderful. He said he has more money to be able to give to the school than what he was expected to have. And he realized that people were generous and that they were willing to give. And I said, well, just remember, as long as you give without the expectation to receive, there will be plenty of abundance. So that was an
How old
experience
is
I
he,
gave
Mike?
him.
How old was he?
He is he 10? 10 or 11, I think. So it's a great lesson for him to learn at such an early stage in life, because now he understands the importance of that concept of give freely and give without the expectation to receive, because now he owns that feeling. It's his. And he learned something from that experience. He walked away with all this money unexpectedly, and like he couldn't even give it away. He tried. So what's great about that, and when I point this lesson out, because there were a lot of volunteers that helped Leo put this event together, and they gave of their time, and you could see the level of commitment from that event. Honestly, when just look at the pictures, look at the details, zoom in and start to see the details, and you'll realize there was a lot of heart that went into this event. That was volunteering. Now, my experience, like my nephew's yesterday, is the more you give, the more you get. If you give and give and give of yourself, you give without the expectation to receive. The law of reciprocity, the law of abundance, is a law that's innate to nature. It's innate to our Creator. You will receive. So I say that because we hold on to Nikken like it's ours, or we hold on to a fear of letting it go. And it prevents other people from being able to get the gift, receive the gift, and maybe express the gift in a sort of a pay it forward kind of way. So I think if we become more focused, and I have to tell you, at one point in time, it was actually just before Leo received this gift from Luis, I heard in my head, who is this guy? It was Luis. I was hearing in my head, the thought was like, who is this guy? Luis was with me at the side table as he was preparing to give this gift. Leo was busy at the front of the room, and Luis was just off camera, off stage, just on the side with this thing, and I could see he was putting this thing together, and I realized what it was. And he turned to me to say something, where I said, oh, that's amazing. This is gonna be great. And as he turned to me, I could see he was trying to say something, and he just completely welled up in emotions. He couldn't speak. And I'm like, in my head, I heard, who is this guy? He is so emotional. He is so on purpose that even before he does the deed, he's already living it, feeling it, the satisfaction, the gratitude for being of service, for being the guy who gets to have this moment. I was just absolutely stunned, because I've known him for a long time, and I've known this of him. But there I was in a real moment, like an unplanned, spontaneous moment where I saw the emotions well up inside of him just for the thought of what was about to happen. It was absolutely astounding. And he spoke about this to the audience earlier in the day about the idea of being of service. That he, people were saying, thank you for coming, thank you for coming. And he kept saying, oh, thank you. You give me the opportunity to be of service, to be on purpose, to live my purpose. And you would think most people who say that in the position that he's in, certainly in the North American space, you think it's just a put on. It's like politics. But man, when you have those moments on the, I don't think anybody else saw that. I was the only one there because I was at the corner with him. And that's why the words came out of my head, like, who is this guy? Like, this is so real. This is so real to him that you only see a smidgen of what's behind this guy or what's inside this guy that's at the helm of our company, which is why I said I'm so proud that we finally have somebody who I think really emulates and represents the true human being, more spirit. And that's our CEO. And we've just had him a very short time. So you talk about Madeline, the resurrection, boy, I tell you something, it takes a guy like that at the helm to make something spectacular happen in the world. And we have him. And so I want to challenge you to be that servant, be somebody who becomes a servant leader, to be of service, to always be thinking about who could I share this with? How can I help? Like I did the pilot on the plane, not the guy flying the plane, the pilot sitting next to me who was being flown because he had to pilot another aircraft. Who can you share this with next? Who can you help next? Who can you serve next? And when you do that, it's like what my nephew experienced yesterday. He had no idea what was coming back. He didn't go out with the expectation to have more money, and there it was, just the same. When you get into the right frequency, and it's the frequency of service, it's the frequency of giving. And if you've got something good to give, wow, what would be holding you back except you, your ego, your fear, which is really the absence of faith? Trust the law, trust the process, and be better at it. Become better at it. Organize yourself, plan some events, be of service to the community around you, to the people you know. Start doing that as a labor of love and watch what comes back. I believe we are now living in a very special time where those of us who have stuck to our guns and who have been the beacons of light for the world in darkness, it's our turn. We're the ones who are going to be overflowing with abundance. So get out there and get busy. Two more hands up, and then we'll call it a day. Barb Bertucci.
Yes, Mike. I want to underline something because I think that when we're assisting others to create multiple sources of income, which is where I seem to want to begin to share again, for some reason it's dropped out, right? And now it's like, wait, there's a business to this and such. What I find, being 28 in the business, 28 years this May, people might feel that they can't do what I do or take the time to learn what I do. And the only way around that is to do the ABC. And even if I have the answer, I do an ABC. And I want people to know that 28 years in the business, Linda Morris is my A, Igor Grundle is my A, other people are my A, because I want them to see how easy it is to find. I don't know the answer to that, but let me find you someone who does. And the best thing that can happen in an appointment is to have to get back with them about some information, because we know it's 7 to 10 times that we have to connect with them for them to make an informed decision. So that's another way of getting back with them. But I want to underline that. I want to drill it because I think it's been forgotten, Mike, that these these events, these healthy and balanced life, that's an A. You know, the Sherry's is an A. You know, all these events that we do that are for guests are A's. But there's nothing more valuable than to have an A speak directly to your potential customer and then consultant. I mean, there's nothing more, and it just gives them a little freedom. I don't have to learn all this stuff. I don't have to know all this stuff. All I need to do is connect them to you, connect them to other people, and let's go. Get them to this event, and, you know, let's go. And I just thank you for, you know, doing it, having it. I can't imagine having a Saturday event, then having a lunch, then a dinner, and then a brunch. I'm like, oh my gosh, you know, it's one thing to put on the Saturday event and the dinner, but God bless you on all of that. But I want to underline ABC, Mike.
Absolutely. What is an event? A big ABC. And one of the things I did, Barbara, at the event was, because we didn't have the testimonials from the front of the stage, concerns obviously for you know, any of the regulations that we may have had a problem with it being recorded, the CEO of the company, we didn't want to pose a threat to anybody or anything. So what Leo decided was that we wouldn't do it that way, which was fine. What I asked for then at the audience when it came up on that slide was, now, if you've had a positive experience with the Nikken products, would you please raise your hands or stand? And I said, for those of you who are guests, please pick 2 or 3 people from the audience that you're going to ask. Please do not leave this room until you've asked those people their story. So make those connections and give them permission to make the connections, so that's something that you're encouraging to happen, and it should happen with some frequency, regularly. Barb.
I'll be fast. Just adding on to something that Barbara just said. Ben Woodward has told the story several times about an ABC call, but it wasn't just 3 people. One person called another person who called another person who called another person, and they went up to 5 or 6 people before they had the answer to give to the first person who asked the question, even though each person in between knew the answer. It was teaching that first person the process. It doesn't matter how many people can't answer the question. Eventually you'll get to somebody who can, and it doesn't matter how many people you have to ask. Ben has mentioned that several times on his Tuesday webinars. The other quick thing I want to make note of, I experienced Luis's persona personally in October when I went to your meeting in Toronto. Didn't expect it, but I rescued a dog in May of 2017, and he has always barked at everybody. We approached the car and there wasn't a sound, and I was concerned something had happened to the dog. I had to take him with me. I had no one to leave him with. Opened the door, and if a dog could smile, that dog was smiling, and he was wagging his tail faster than I've ever seen him wag it. And Luis asked to take him for a walk. That dog never let one peep out of him. And I thought, oh my goodness, the persona spoke volumes, absolute volumes. When I got back from that meeting, there was a text waiting for me from Luis. Please reply back and let me know that you had an uneventful, safe trip and that you're safely back in your own home. The president of a multi-million-dollar company cares about those of us in the field. I just had to mention about his persona, because if I hadn't experienced it being so profound, well, I wouldn't have known how deeply it went.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's in these private moments that we see something that we don't often see ever. anywhere. And he doesn't make a public thing about it. That's the
No.
beauty of it. That's the humility of it. And there's only one other person I've experienced that with, and that's Isamu Masuda, the founder of Nikken. So I can tell you, there's
They
good.
say trust your animal.
Good times ahead. And I'll tell you, if I was going to go to battle with somebody, I'd want it to be with him. So we have him. We're fortunate. We're very, very fortunate and blessed to have him. And as much as he wants to serve us, I'd like to think we want to serve him in his cause to put 10 million new people into Nikken wellness homes. So you with me on that?
Yep.
Well, let's get to it. Set a goal for the next quarter since we've begun. Set a goal for the month of April since we're now in April. And if you didn't hit your goal last month, that's all right. Figure out what you would have done differently knowing what you know now. The most important question you could ask yourself is, what would I have done differently in the month of March, knowing what I know now about how things went? Take your own advice, put it to work in April. Don't change the goal, change the strategy. And we'll watch you and help you get that to the top. All right, everybody have a great night.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you. Excellent.